In today's video, we will be taking a look at my updated 2024 presidential election prediction between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. This is by far the most likely matchup scenario of all of the possible predictions. Joe Biden, as the Democratic incumbent, is definitely favored to win the Democratic nomination, as although RFK has been gaining some momentum, Biden is definitely going to win the Democratic nomination. Trump, on the other hand, is polling very well. He is at around 52.6% as it stands today, against DeSantis, who is trailing at around 21.3%, so he is more than 30 points behind Donald Trump, and he is most likely not going to win the GOP nomination. So that will be that. Now let's start off by filling in Donald Trump's likely states. The first two likely states are Alaska and South Carolina. These are not super surprising. Both of these states voted for Trump by 10 and 12 points respectively. Now, although I don't think they're going to go for Trump by a safe margin, I think he's going to win them by pretty solid likely margins of around 10 to 12%, like in 2020. Now, the next state that will be in the likely Republican column are the states of Iowa and Ohio. Both of these states voted for Trump by 8 points, and although 2020 was a more significantly favorable year for Democrats as compared to 2016, both of these states still remained solidly in the Republican column. In areas like Ohio, for instance, Democrats failed to gain some of the working class voters that some political pundits expected them to gain. And even Republicans like Red Eagle Politics, they predicted closer lead margins for Trump in these states, while they actually were very solid performances for Donald Trump. Now for the state of Texas. Texas will be a likely state for Donald Trump. This is also not super surprising. The state of Texas voted for Trump by around 5.6 points, and although Joe Biden could do still pretty well in some of the suburban areas, he has definitely lost a lot of ground with Hispanics, and they're definitely not going to support him as much, and he's going to lose some black voters as they will turn out less for him, because the black voter approval rating for Joe Biden is actually surprisingly low at around 60%. Overall speaking, I just don't think Joe Biden's very popular, and I don't think he's going to win the state of Texas, and Trump's probably going to win it by around 8 or 9 points. Now to the state of Florida. This is a trending Republican state. Biden lost the state by 3.3% against Donald Trump, despite the fact that Joe Biden was expected to come really close, if not win the state, as polls suggested that Biden was nearly ahead of Trump on Election Day in Florida back in 2020. Furthermore, Biden only won the county Miami-Dade by 7 points, while Hillary Clinton won the county by around 30. And Biden might very well lose the county in 2028, 2024, or even 2028 if a Democrat chooses to run. They might even lose Miami-Dade County because Hispanic voters are just not voting for Democrats at the rate they previously did. Now for the likely states for Joe Biden. First off, Colorado and New Mexico are most certainly likely states for Joe Biden. Now, both of these states are likely states for Biden, as both of them were in 2020, Colorado by 13 and New Mexico by 10 points. And overall speaking, both of these states are very blue. They aren't as solidly as in the Democratic column, as there's still some suburban areas that could still trend to the Democratic Party in both states. In the state of New Mexico, Trump could actually do decently because there's a lot of oil voters in areas like Don Ana County, and Democrats are kind of maxing out in counties like Bernalillo and Santa Fe, while for Colorado, Democrats still have some room to grow in the Denver suburbs. Now for the state of Virginia, this will also be a likely state for Democrats, as Biden won the state by 10 points, the first Democrat to win the state by double digits in a very long time. Joe Biden has also been able to do very well in some of the Virginia suburbs, and some of the DC suburbs. This is just not surprising. Democrats are going to overperform in much of the suburban areas around the urban regions. We have seen this trend for a very long time. Next will be the state of Maine's at-large vote. This is also not surprising. Joe Biden is going to easily win Maine's at-large vote. Now let's go from the state of Nevada all the way over to states like New Hampshire and Maine's 1st congressional district. The first state will be the state of Maine. This will be not super surprising for most of you, but I think but I think overall the state is probably going to go for Joe Biden by around 1 percentage point. The reason being that Democrats are going to underperforming counties like Clark, where there is a heavy Hispanic presence, because Joe Biden is not doing that well with Hispanic voters. Nonetheless, I don't think Trump will make enough inroads, and overall, Democrats will still probably win the county of Washoe, to a point where Trump will probably still end up losing the state by around 1 percentage point, therefore a tilt margin for Joe Biden. Now the state of Arizona. I don't think voters in Arizona really like Donald Trump. He lost the state in 2020, despite him winning the state by 4 in 2016, and Mitt Romney and John McCain both winning the state by around 8 in 2008 and 2012 respectively. I just don't think voters in the state really like Trump. He is an election denier at the end of the day, and really that is what cost him the state overall. His rhetoric is not that appreciated in a state like Arizona. And I just overall think that white educated voters are not going to vote for him. And overall, I do believe Arizona will go to the Democratic Party by, again, a tilt margin like it was in 2020. Now for the state of Georgia. I previously mentioned while I was explaining Texas that the state of Georgia, with some of the Atlanta suburbs, some of the black voters are not going to turn out by as heavy margins. Currently, only around 60% of black voters actually approve of Joe Biden's handling of the presidency. That is not super high, considering 90% of black voters voted for Joe Biden. So that being said, it just seems like although black voters are not going to vote for someone like Donald Trump, at the end of the day, turnout will be down in the Atlanta area, which will be crucial for Democrats to win the state. And because of that reason, I just don't think Democrats will be able to win the state of Georgia. Although Democrats can probably win a county like Fulton by around another time by around 73 to around 26. At the end of the day, if turnout is down, you're going to win the counties by less votes overall, and that's not going to be helpful for the overall tally. I think Trump will be able to win the state of Georgia. North Carolina, in 2020, Trump actually won the state, and I don't think Trump's going to lose any of the states he won in 2020. Overall speaking, the North Carolina is actually trending blue because of counties like Mecklenburg, Guilford, or Wake County. At the end of the day, a lot of rural areas could still grow for Donald Trump, such as the Panhandle over here in North Carolina. And I think rural black voters have also been trending away from the Democratic Party. If you look at the shift from 2016, you will see that a lot of these counties shifted to the Republican Party by around 5 to 6 points. And although Democrats made inroads in counties like Wake and Mecklenburg, those are expected inroads. And also Biden did do better in 2020 than Hillary Clinton did in 2016 overall on the general election ballot. With all that being said, I think North Carolina will go to Trump by around 2 percentage points. Now, a win for the Democratic Party will definitely occur in the state of Minnesota. Hillary Clinton won the state in 2016. And despite Walter Mondale losing 49 of the 50 states, he was still able to carry the state of Minnesota and Washington, D.C., establishing Minnesota as a state with the longest Democratic voting history. Overall speaking, although I don't think Democrats are going to win the state by a safe margin, I think Democrats are still going to win the state pretty solidly. The Minneapolis area is just too far gone for the Republican Party, and many white educated voters are willing to vote for Democrats more than the Republicans, especially a candidate like Trump, and I just do believe that Joe Biden will be able to win the state by around 5 points or around a lean to likely margin. Now for the state, for Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District, I don't think this is much of a surprise here, but I think that this district will go to Joe Biden because in the state of Nebraska, essentially, although Trump won the state by 20 points, Biden did receive 1 electoral vote for the District of Omaha, around the Omaha region, where he was able to win by 7 points. And though redistricting made the district slightly more conservative, it's not going to make a huge difference. Democrats are still going to be able to win the district with relative ease. Now with going on to the state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin is probably going to go for Donald Trump because he has pretty much been able to accomplish very well in a state like Wisconsin, where there's a lot of working class voters. Although he's not going to do as well in counties like the Bowel counties, which is basically more conservative voters that are less inclined to vote for someone like Donald Trump because they're more moderate or kind of Reagan Republicans in general. At the end of the day, most voters in Wisconsin are more working class voters. They support someone like Trump over someone like Biden and over someone like Ron DeSantis. And overall, I do believe that Trump will be able to turn out enough working class voters to actually win the state of Wisconsin. However, I don't think the same can be said for the state of Michigan. Michigan is generally a bluer state. Biden only won the state of Wisconsin by 0.6, but won the state of Michigan by 2.8 points. Further, Democrats actually have room to improve in counties like Oakland and Kent, although Republicans could still improve in the rural areas, and Republicans could narrow down some of the margins, and really Democratic, especially black voters, turnout in areas like Detroit and Ann Arbor. At the end of the day, that would not be enough for Democrats to lose the state of Michigan. I think Democrats will win the state by around 2 percentage points. Now going to Maine's second district, I don't think this is much of a surprise. Trump won the district by about 9 points in 2016 and around 7 points in 2020. Therefore, he's probably still going to end up carrying Maine's second congressional district. New Hampshire, overall, I do believe that Joe Biden will be able to win the state of New Hampshire. He carried all but 2 counties in this competitive state. And overall, because there's a lot of white educated voters in New Hampshire, Manchester, for instance, is a huge college town. At the end of the day, I think Democrats will be able to win the state of New Hampshire, as it is a trending blue state. So that means the election comes down to Pennsylvania like it did in 2020. It was a tipping point state in 2020 and could still be in 2024. On one hand, Republicans have strong rural appeal, and black voters will not be inclined to turn out for someone like Joe Biden. But at the end of the day, Democrats are still going to have very strong numbers in some of these suburban areas, and that Republicans, although they can turn out many of these rural voters, they make up a minority in a state like Pennsylvania. And overall speaking, I do believe that Joe Biden will be able to defeat Donald Trump in the state of Pennsylvania and move on to win the general election to remain as the 46th president of the United States. Thank you for watching today's video. Be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.